When did you see this Democratic wave coming? Did you have any evidence of it?
Let me start with your last question.
Okay.
Never saw it coming.
Okay.
We saw some, we saw some signs, of course, with absentee voting and that sort of thing, but we never saw it get to where it was. So that's number one. On public polls in general, they've done a historically very bad job here in Virginia for a long time. There's just no question about it. So I mentioned earlier, I know it seems small, but when you're a candidate and you're kind of running uphill and you're the underdog in many cases in many races, you really have to educate your folks about these polls, and you have to kind of talk through, well, this sample was D+7 and this had this metric here. You have to, I really think that Republicans here in Virginia especially have become a little accustomed to these public polls, and at times already know, well, we can't really trust those because they didn't have it right in 13, they didn't have it right in 14, they didn't have it right in, and so on and so forth. So those all go into play. But our internal polling, we didn't catch the wave. We felt good with where we were trending. We were making progress on every poll that we were doing, and we felt like we were staring down a potential upset. We thought it was going to be close, but no, we did not see this wave. It was not showing up in our polling.
So it was a shock to you election night?
Yeah, it was
the
a shock.
extent. Okay. Okay.
First on public polls and then our internals. I'm going to disagree with Chris slightly on, because obviously 14 and 13, the public polls were way off. But if you look at the average of public polls in Virginia in 2016, they averaged out in the last week to 5.5, and that's exactly what Hillary carried Virginia with. And I think and then this will transition well to our internals. If you look at the slew of the public polls kind of towards the end, it was like Northam by 3 to Northam by 6. But that was assuming the previous gubernatorial turnout. And the previous gubernatorial turnout, Terry won by 2.5. It was about Democratic by 3 or so. It turned out, in my opinion, I think to be about, by Democratic by 3, I mean 3% out of who voted, it was 3% more Democratic than Republican. And that's what the assumptions were on. That's not that terribly far off, except that I think this ended up being a Democratic by 6 electorate. And if you actually were, not to get too in the weeds, it was assuming it was looking backward in terms of its assumption of what the electorate would be like, instead of looking forwards, where there's been more Democratic turnout, say, in the special elections across the country. So they actually, for the first time, and by the way, I think any one public poll that comes out can be horribly terrible based off of their methodology if it's wrong, or if they have bad polling assumptions. I would always say that you often, if a poll will come out, you'll get better luck throwing darts at a dartboard and getting a more accurate number in terms of where the horse race is. But if you aggregate it and average it, they just don't tend to be that far off. Anyway, so our internals, we were always glass half empty in terms of what we expected turnout to be, while we put an incredible amount of effort on increasing Democratic turnout. Meaning we wanted to make sure that we weren't repeating some mistakes of 2016 and just being the too rose-colored glasses. Every time we got a poll back, we would weigh it down and assume 2013 turnout, even if we thought turnout was going to be higher than 2013 and more Democratic than 2013. So most of our polls gave us anywhere between a 1 and a 4-point lead almost the entirety of the race. But once again, this assumed a more conservative 2013 electorate. What we saw in the last week, and we had a rolling track going all the way through Election Day, is the data was coming back more and more Democratic every day. But we kept on assuming that it was going to be just as conservative as it was in 2013. So I'll give you an example. There was a lot of wonky polling talk. But on Sunday and Monday before the election, we were in the field. We got a poll back. Not weighed to party ID, not assuming a 2013 electorate, just raw data if you looked at it. It was 51-44. It's not, but then we said, no, we have to assume it's as conservative as 2013, and it was 49-44, which is, or 49-45, us up 4. That's where it's been the entire race. So very long and wonky answer. We were getting the data that it could be. We were just like, no, it's not that good. Let's be skeptical. And I think that's an important lesson actually going to 2018.